the Wisconsin Music Podcast.
Smartmouth, the niche is what genre of music?
We call it 2000s party anthems. Essentially, if you looked at our playlist, we play 50 plus songs for a show. We do a 3.5 hour show, play 50 songs. And right now, currently, we're actually going through song ideas to tweak things a little bit. But we've actually got 30 number one hits from 2000 to 2020.
Okay.
And then we've got, I think, 13 top 10s. And then there's a handful that are kind of band pleasers. You know us musicians, we like some of that different stuff. But for everybody in their 20s and 30s, they know every single song. And I would say people in their 40s and 50s know at least 60% of them. And sometimes it's because they liked it, or sometimes when you get with the older people, it's because their kids listen to it and they're familiar with it. But we kind of hit in the 2000 to 2020 genre, we kind of hit, like epic movie songs, stuff that's on TV commercials, stuff that's, obviously streaming online. Back when there were CDs, stuff that was on the Now This Is Music CDs, things like that. And we worked real hard. I pulled every single Hot 100 Billboard list from 2000 to 2019. I dumped them all on a Spotify.
Here to introduce you to the great musicians and music businesses and organizations of Wisconsin. Every week, Wisconsin Music Podcast will be bringing you great information on what's happening in the Wisconsin music world. For our music-loving listeners, we'll bring you music that you haven't even heard of yet from unique and talented artists and hear about their journey so far. You'll either hear live performances of their songs or songs from their selected discography. For our musicians out there wondering what they can do to further their recognition, we'll be calling upon Wisconsin music businesses and organizations to enlighten you on what they're doing to help further your music journey. And now, here's your host, Zach Fell.
Thanks, Dean. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 16 of Wisconsin Music Podcast. I hope everyone had a great New Year celebration. This week we have Jeff from Smartmouth, a 2000 to 2019 cover band. So let's get right into it. Jeff, thank you for being on the Wisconsin Music Podcast.
It's good to be here.
Why don't we kind of start with your musical origin story? Did you play instruments when you were a kid, or what led you to where you are with the music today?
Well, yeah, I played around with some instruments when I was a kid, the neighbor's piano and stuff like that. Kind of got into band late, junior year of high school, played baritone horn, and it kind of went from there. I was a big marching band dude.
Okay.
I actually made a deal for my first bass guitar on the marching band field with a tuba player. And $40. And this was in college, like 2 or 3 years into college. Just as a study break, I started throwing CDs in and playing bass. And someone taught me how to tune, and the rest is history. I think it was a year later, I auditioned for a show and had to learn 40 songs and did this big horn band experience. And
cool.
It was pretty cool. And that kind of gave me the bug, and started a band out of college called The Switch. Did that for a few years. Then took a break while I became a manager at work and had a baby and got married and all that stuff. Came back, and then we had a band called the Johnsons, which was primarily an 80s band. We did 90s. We did fairly well in Southeast Wisconsin. On and off, we did that for about 15 years. Then after that, I joined up with Gino. He used to be with the Toys.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of converted the Johnsons into Big Shoes, and we did that for about 5 years. And that was, a lot more 80s, 90s. And, that kind of was a real fun experience, but kind of wrapped it up. And then I got frustrated, and that's what led us to Smartmouth.
Cool. So what years did the Johnsons start and turn into working with the guy from the Toys?
Yeah, the Johnsons, I believe we started in 1998.
Okay.
And that went until, I want to say, 2015. Let's just say 2015. And then almost immediately we put together Big Shoes.
Okay.
So right around there.
Okay.
I've always been the bass player, and then I'm a business guy, so I've always kind of been the leader also.
What music projects did you find that were your most inspirational?
Well, this current music project is the absolute most inspirational, just because there's a lot of challenge to it. I was told by a lot of my long-term musician friends that it would never work, and I'm going to fall on my face. So I don't want to jump ahead too far, but Smart Mouth has been very, very rewarding. Having a great time with it. In fact, I've been booking the band for the last 2 days solid.
Nice.
During my vacation. Yeah. Very, very inspiring. The Johnsons was real fun too, because going back to 98, probably a couple years before that, the term 80s band really didn't exist because we were so close to it. No one ever called it an 80s band. So I used to talk, to Jimmy from the Toys and a lot of the other band leaders. Oh yeah, the 80s are hot. And sure enough, it just took off and exploded, and still hot. Yeah. I mean, you got Cherry Pie that's been doing it for 20, 25 years. That was inspirational too. A lot of things, playing Summerfest, something as a kid I thought I would never do, just standing up there and looking across the crowd. It's like, this is crazy. A lot of surprises. The surprises are the things that really you hold on to the most.
Right, exactly. Since you're probably within the same generation as I am, kind of went through high school in the 90s kind of thing, right?
Well, 80s, yeah.
80s.
I'm a little older than you.
Yeah, 80s into the 90s.
Yeah.
So, like 20 years ago, we had websites like Milwaukee Rocks and Sonic Bids and all that kind of stuff. Did you use any of that kind of stuff back then?
Yes. I was, throughout the years, an avid user of Milwaukee Rocks, just the classified area to network and find people. So yes, Milwaukee Rocks. I even used it a little bit in 2018, putting this together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's still around, but I guess everybody's more into the nowadays social media stuff, which is obviously Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything else under that umbrella. So what do you do now? Do you take those new social medias to promote your groups that you're in? And if so, how do you do so?
Absolutely. I am a Facebook addict. So I am the manager of Facebook for Smart Mouth. I'm a maniac, and I'll admit, since COVID and being inside so much, I'm probably a little too much. But I promised myself that I would do something to help the fan base and help booking and help name recognition every day. And the way I do that is on Facebook. I am probably a member of, I want to say, almost 350 groups, Facebook groups.
Oh, wow.
I've got a couple concepts. Obviously, I'm in all the groups that are music related and band related and venue related. I spend a lot of time there. And when appropriate, I post videos, I post images, post events and things like that. And then, again, because I've been inside for 9 months, pretty much, I started thinking, I want to be where people are living their regular life. So I kind of went into adjacent groups, like entertainment groups, community groups. Can't think of any specific examples, but I try to not be obnoxious, but I do try to be present in areas where people are living their regular life and they just so happen to see something about Smart Mouth. Like I said, I'm all over the place. A couple people complain, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, great, didn't know there was a band like this," or "That's cool, you're coming to my hometown," et cetera, et cetera. So I do that, and then my daughter happens to be in our band, and she actually manages Instagram, along with our lead singer, Ashley. The way we do Instagram is we don't post that much, but we do tend to kind of look at bars and restaurants and events in each town that we're going to play in, and we look for related people that we would like to follow in those towns about 1 to 2 weeks before we get to that town. And we follow them, and a lot of times they follow us back. And I would say we started at zero. We probably added 2,000 people this year on Instagram. Again, that's a lot more understated than Facebook. That's, a picture here, short video before the show, things like that. But we're trying to do that. We don't use any of the other socials right now, as far as like TikTok or any of those things. We do not use Twitter. We do have a YouTube page, but nowadays with Facebook, think I just did the numbers. We have, I think, over 196,000 video views this year on Facebook. And that's 500 here, 12,000 here.
Right.
This one video that we had that's really good is at about 114,000 views. So yes, we use Facebook, and that's our main thing, even for videos.
Are any of these videos during COVID, or are they all pre-COVID videos?
That's a really good question. The video that's had 114,000 views, that was literally taken on February 28th. So about 2 weeks before the world ended.
Yeah.
And so that's that. And then we kind of sat out for a while. We did play in June, and we had a crazy video. It's still up, where people were going nuts, and that kind of went both ways for us. That showed that the band was popular, but it also ticked a lot of people off. So after that, if I post video of the band that has been done since June, I try to just do band shots. I don't show crowds, cross mingling and so on and so forth, because everybody has their own opinion, and no one can win on, in that conversation.
Gotcha. Before COVID, did you do any studio recordings or home recordings of the band?
Actually, we have not, believe it or not. We had a lot of people with pretty good video phones and so on and so forth, and we kind of just put it out there as fan video. So we really don't have any professional video.
Smartmouth, the niche is what genre of music?
We call it 2000s party anthems. Essentially, if you looked at our playlist, we play 50 plus songs for a show. We do a 3.5 hour show, play 50 songs. And right now, currently, we're actually going through song ideas to tweak things a little bit. But we've actually got exactly 30 number one hits from 2000 to 2020.
Okay.
And then we've got, I think, 13 top 10s. And then there's a handful that are kind of band pleasers. Us musicians, we like some different stuff. But for everybody in their 20s and 30s, they know every single song. And I would say people in their 40s and 50s know at least 60% of them. And sometimes it's because they liked it, or sometimes when you get with the older people, it's because their kids listen to it and they're familiar with it. But we kind of hit in the 2000 to 2020 genre, we kind of hit, epic movie songs, stuff that's on TV commercials, stuff that's, obviously streaming online. Back when there were CDs, stuff that was on the Now This Is Music CDs, things like that. And we worked real hard. I pulled every single Hot 100 Billboard list from 2000 to 2019. I dumped them all on a Spotify playlist and, sorted through them and sifted through them. Our lead singer, Nick, he kind of came up, he's the youngest guy in the band. He kind of came up, he's like, listen, if you say a song title and almost everybody instantly knows what the song is, that's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of follow that now.
Yeah.
We do, Jonas Brothers, we do all kinds of stuff. Kelly Clarkson, because our female singer's a screamer, Taylor Swift, all those songs that have been around all over the place.
Local venues, open mic, coffee houses, bars, summer outdoor festivals, trade shows, obviously pre-COVID. Were you a part of any or all of those things?
We mainly focused on venues in multiple parts. So you got basically the bars that have an occasional band, or you have the bars that basically are in business to have bands, like Saloon. Saloon has, I think, live music Wednesday through Sunday. Then you get the live music venues, like we play live at 1175, which is in Kansasville.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little bit different business model, but they're also in business to have live music. Then we'll do places that once a month do a band, or once quarterly. It's changed a little bit, obviously over the last year.
Yeah.
But we also play, private parties, and we play a lot of events. Just signed tie-up bar, summer party in Okachi, which is insane. So that's going to be a tent gig. We did Lake Mills Town and Country Days, which is a traditional festival. We haven't done any church festivals yet, but those, like I said, the last 2 days, I think I contacted about 30 churches for 2021. That's pretty much it. The ones that we like the best are the people, the ownership, or the event managers that are just super, super energetic and really help promote. I mean, like I said, I'm a monster promoter, but I really appreciate the venue owners that hit it hard. It's kind of like a 1-2 punch, and it creates synergy, and those are the rooms that work the best.
Why don't you kind of describe what you mean by that?
Well, I'll use my favorite example is it's called Vino, etc. in Oconomowoc. The owner is Brian, and he it's a small place. And when we first looked at it, we're like, where are you going to put a 6-piece band in this place? But we figured it out, and we're like, are you sure? Because we don't make a gajillion dollars, but we charge a fair rate for what we are.
Right.
Anyway, he's like, yep, absolutely, don't worry about it. So Brian is the type of guy that not only promotes on the Vino Etc. page, he promotes on his personal page. He's got a number of very close friends that are not really employees. They're like very close people that are at the bar all the time. And it's like a task force. And they'll share things. They'll talk about it. They'll invite people. They're texting people, first several songs of the night, sending out videos. And that's really, that's what works great. Brian's energy and the fact that he promotes through his business, he promotes through his personal page, he promotes, obviously verbally to everybody that's in the place. You got to see these guys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then that's combined with all those groups that I told you about that I post in, posting on my personal page, posting on the band page. And everything kind of comes together, because Facebook only shows about, on a good day, 10% of your audience, anything that you post. We're all kind of just getting our separate 10% and hopefully getting 30, 40, 50% of the audience to know what's going on. So it's great. Now, some ownership, I'm not going to name any, but sometimes, they don't work hard.
Yeah.
Or they put it all in the band, which is fine. But I can really only talk to my people and the general public. I can't really talk to their audience. They have their audience. So it's just a lot longer process.
Right.
If it's the band doing most of the promoting.
I hear you. Yeah. Obviously, you've been playing venues for years and years and years. So let's kind of talk about red flags. So throughout your time as a performing artist, what are some major red flags you have observed or experienced that up and coming musicians should look out for?
A big red flag is playing any and every show, which is a red flag if you can't get people in there. So if you have a feeling like it's a venue that's not going to help promote or something like that, you might want to think twice about that as a young band. I constantly say, I probably put it in 100 emails today, literally, that, you got to set the band off in the right trajectory.
Yeah. Meaning
with Vino, going back to Vino, everything came together. And even with COVID, the place was packed. And ever since that first event, we still work hard, but it's a lot easier because everybody that was there had so much fun. It wasn't just music. It wasn't just a good band. It was really an event where everybody had fun. So anyway, I would be careful, for young bands to do shows that are going to be empty. Empty shows actually hurt you. So again, you kind of have that's a crystal ball thing. You don't know who's going to show up.
Right.
but you got to swing away. The other thing too is, it kind of piggybacks off the same thing is, venues that aren't configured right. Sometimes the bar's in a separate room as the band, and that's really tough. That's really tough because, people like to stand by the bar. Mm-hmm. And it takes away from, you can sound great. You can be the greatest band in the world, but if there's nothing happening, if there's no people watching besides the band,
right?
They think you're not that good. And then another red flag is, and this is hard, even in our band, not all 6 of us always promote everything we're doing. So, as much as you can for young bands is if you have 4 members, all 4 of you have to be promoting. You have to, swallow real deep, and you have to literally text people and ask them to come, because typically you're not asking one person, they're going to show up with 1 or 2 people, more. So
you would hope.
That's another thing. Yeah. That's about all I can think of right now.
That's fine. Kind of still staying within the local scene. Let's talk about local scene attitude. Over the years, what have you seen that has suppressed or oppressed the live local scene?
Well, this is really this is delicate. I personally have an issue with quality control, meaning venues not really knowing what they're bringing in for live music. And I'll try to explain. Especially a venue that charges a cover charge. Your customers trust you if you're a venue owner. And if you bring in something that's sub-quality and you're still charging a cover charge, it hurts next week's band, who might be great, who are charging the same cover.
Right.
So I don't know, the answer to that, but quality control drives me nuts. And I do, once I build a relationship with venue owners, I do try to encourage them. You got to keep your quality up, either pick out of the group of bands that kind of do it with a mission, or pick bands that are hobby bands, which is fine. There's way more hobby bands than there are, serious entertainment acts. But when you mix them, it really can hurt you, because, one day they're paying, $10 for Bella Cane, and then the next week they're trying to get $8 for Joe Schmo's band, and it just hurts because, if it's not good quality and if there's not people. When I say quality, a lot of times the quality is the number of bodies in that room. So that's one of the things that frustrates me, and that is definitely a pitfall of venue owners.
Do you think if they advertise like certain nights are hobby bands and certain nights are the bands that are really trying to break out of their local scene, do you think that would help?
I think that you're a genius for asking that question. I've always believed that, if you are karaoke on Tuesday, if you're open mic on Wednesday, whatever your program is, you should pick your lanes and should stick to them for at least 90 days. It's okay to switch things up quarterly, but I do think you need to train your customer to know what to expect. So yes, I think that's a great question. I do think that. I think a good example of that is Sloon on Calhoun. Dave does a great job of kind of doing triage with what's going on. So he does have, I believe he has an open mic night. He may or may not do karaoke, but if he does, it's all consistent. So it's like, Tuesday and Sunday. And then his customers know that they're going to get an outstanding, up and coming, quality band on Friday night. And right now, I don't know if it will change. Right now, he doesn't do cover on Friday. And then Saturday is the absolute guaranteed, the big names, the Cherry Pies, the Love Monkeys, those types of bands on Saturdays. And I think his customers kind of know what to expect just by the day of the week.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think that's best, like you said, if the customer knows what night a certain venue is hosting, whatever niche they're doing, it's going to help both parties in the long run.
Just
let's flip it. What do you think is helping the local music scene? Obviously, COVID notwithstanding, what's helping the local music scene get more of the limelight?
Again, I think managing quality and putting their all into every single event. Even places, like I said, saloon is what? If you start on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Let's say it's 5 days. They put their heart out on every single one of those days. And every single day, I see Dave's posts in about a dozen or 24 groups. And that just makes each one better because there's more bodies there and so on and so forth. I think them building their Facebook audience is key. I think the industry's a little bit behind on Instagram. I'll be honest, I don't even get Instagram, but it is definitely something that's helping SmartMouth. So, I think building their audience, because there's people that just like their vibe and their bar,
Yeah.
And that just is key. And then tapping into them when the time comes, some bars do some paid advertising. They'll kick in $20, $30, $50 for a certain show to advertise to their people. Like I said before, on a good day, Facebook might show 10% of the audience whatever message.
Right.
If you kick some money at it, they're going to show a larger percentage. And that's something that we do as a band. Right now during COVID, believe it or not, I'm spending $100 a show, and I'm advertising to a general demographic, which is females 21 to 29 years old, because they like to dance and they're going to bring their boyfriends and what have you,
and girlfriends and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like $75 goes towards them, and $25 goes towards our audience, and I just promote that event to our people.
Right. And you it seems like you're treating this as a business where you have to invest in your business in order to grow your business.
Yes, correct. I am a small business owner besides SmartMouth. And that I didn't understand it until I did the other business, but you're absolutely right. Right now is a lot of investment. I'm not taking bags of money to the bank every week, but
right.
I do see the forward progress. But you're right. We might have even taken some of the fun out of it if someone listens to me too much, because, I did this whole SmartMouth concept was on paper. On my computer, I did an outline, bullet points. This is what I want to do with this. This is what I want it to be. And then I worked backwards, found the musicians that could do it, and so on and so forth. It's just like a business. I had a business model, then I filled in all the pieces, and now we're executing the plan. It stinks about COVID because it slowed everything down. But yes, we treat it like a business. But our fans don't really realize that. They just know that if they go, they're going to have a great time.
Right. That's all they really care about.
Yep.
Obviously, you created a business plan. Like you said, you had it bulleted out on paper or virtual paper, whatever you want to call it. And you found, quote unquote, your employees, your band members, to help grow the business. And I think a lot of the professional bands out there, they kind of have to think of it the same way. Anybody that's in the, the Billboard Top 500, household names, they have to look at it as a business. Otherwise, they're not going to survive out there.
Correct. And I'll kind of jump off to the side for a second, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
As far as the product, that was an interesting thing. When we started this, or when I started this thing, I looked at it and I said, okay, I'm getting a little bit older. I'm the oldest guy in the band by far. Everybody's substantially younger than me. But I looked at it and I said, I got one more good project in me. And I said, do I really want to do another 80s band and go head to head with Cherry Pie? And, the Toys have changed a little bit, but the Toys and all those bands that I grew up with and I love, and I still go to see when I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Mount Olive, those types of bands. Do I really want to go head to head with them? And the answer was no, I don't. So, I looked at it and, we talked about, I talked about doing something new. I looked at it. I'm like, 90s was kind of depressing. There's a couple 90s bands. So why don't I just leapfrog over the whole thing and let's do 2000s? And I was kind of bouncing off some people in the industry that I know, and they're like, Jeff, you're crazy. You're going to fall on your face. You are absolutely nuts. And I said, why? They're like, young people don't see cover bands. Young people don't go to see cover bands. So then I sat down with my virtual outline. I'm like, well, why is that? Is it because virtually every band out there is actually designed for young people's parents? There was no band designed for the young people. So is it a chicken egg thing? Are young people not going to see cover bands because they don't see bands? Or is it because none of these bands are for them?
Right.
So that's kind of where we came up with that thing. And that worked. We're finding that they're spreading the word even during COVID. They're saying, holy crap, I actually know all these songs. I like all these songs. Remember this in high school. Remember this in middle school. This stuff's great. Then the other question, since I'm rambling on about it, the other question was, will old people, and when I say that, I mean that lovingly because I'm old. So will Generation X go see a band that plays newer music? And that's been my biggest hurdle, because people that buy entertainment, festival people, event people, chambers of commerce, fire departments, venue owners, it's a leap of faith. They're unsure if their customer base, which really is 45 to 60 now, are they going to buy into it? And what we're finding, I've been scared to death about this, but what we're finding is, if they are a cover band fan, they're part of the scene, and they love live music, they might not know all the songs, but they like it, and again, they know it because they've heard it in the car, they've heard it in movies, they've heard it on TV shows and all those things. And we do it well. It's delivered well because I got young people up front singing. So I've actually, believe it or not, I've had some of my old school friends come up to me after shows and go, you know what? I thought you were absolutely insane. This is fun. And it works. And actually, you know what? I'm still going to go see my favorite 80s band. But if they're not playing, I'm going to come see you guys. So it's working. And the way I pitch it to venues is it's a change up to 80s and country, because that's really all Wisconsin has right now with, the circles that we're in, kind of the A-B level band that do, the bigger shows.
Right.
There's not too many. There's either 80s country or there's complete variety, soup to nuts variety. So we chose to be none of those three. Picked our own lane, and as far as product differentiation, we got it. And luckily, I found some people that can sing the stuff and deliver the material. Otherwise, we probably would have fell on our face, But I was talking to Rachel at Wisconsin Harley Davidson, and she's like, I just don't know if riders are going to like this stuff. I said, Rachel, we just did Milwaukee Rally. We did it last summer. I said, you have not seen anything until you've seen a Harley rider dancing to T Swift. I mean, they're fun songs, Taylor Swift and Miley Cyrus and that kind of stuff. They're fun. But anyway, yeah. The old people, the older people, and when I say that again, I'm old. They're enjoying it.
And I think once vaccines start getting out to a lot more people over the next 6-8 months, I think a band like yours is going to be something that they're going to be seeking out. They want to go and have some fun. They've been stuck basically at home most of the time over the last year. It's going to be over a year. And I think we're going to see either a bottleneck or an explosion in the live music scene.
I totally agree.
Let's kind of, because we're kind of wrapping it up here, let's kind of look into the future. Where do you see Smart Mouth in the next 3 to 5 years?
I would like to, basically check all the boxes. I would like to be a part of, Budweiser Pavilion Wednesday Night Lives. I'd like to be at a lot of the concert series. The Lake Country region has a lot of concert series. Church festivals, obviously Summerfest, we already do State Fair, and I think we got 3 shows already at State Fair this year. And that's really it. And I would really like to see my ambition to kind of gently push forward the cover band scene. I'd like to see more and more of those younger people in their 20s coming out and bringing their friends. And again, even during COVID, we had we played a lot in November and December, and we're really seeing these young people. They're not believers, they're friends of ours. We're like, come on, check it out.
Right.
They finally come, and they're astonished. They're like, oh my God, first of all, your band doesn't suck. I can't believe it. And then second of all, this stuff is really fun. And this is the stuff that I, listen to in my bedroom, on my iPod, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're seeing them come week after week, and they're bringing more people, and everyone's having a good time. So that's the biggest thing I would like to see in the next 3 to 5 years is the scene getting these 20-something-year-olds involved and keeping them involved.
Yeah.
And kind of replacing, us Gen Xers that are kind of falling off the map,
Yeah. Speaking of your iPod, do you have any local artists that you're listening to lately?
Local? Well, I don't really listen to a lot of local original. My favorite is Greg Koch out of Milwaukee, guitar genius. That's pretty much my favorite guy. I still watch a lot of the old school people that I used to go see, like Snowpack every once in a while when he plays and things like that. But again, I'm an older guy. Okay. So that's basically about it. When I go out, I go to see other cover bands because I enjoy doing that. So, Mount Olive, the Toys, Love Monkeys, all those guys.
Right. One of the last questions I ask is about work-life balance. You talked about being a small business owner. You have a kid who's in the band, and then you also have the band itself. So how do you balance your work life with your personal life?
It depends on who you ask. I am pretty much not diagnosed, but I'm OCD like crazy. So I do my small business during regular business hours, 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. That's what I'm doing. The business is called Wipers 123. That's when I do that. And then every morning I'm an early riser. So probably from about 5:30 in the morning until I have to go to work at 8. That's all band time. And I grind it every single day, 7 days a week and do that. And then on weekends, I'll go until, noon on the band. But I have a very, very supportive girlfriend. She likes to do what she likes to do. So that gives me free time to do what I want to do. I think in 99 out of 100 relationships, it probably wouldn't work because I really am a grinder. But that's kind of how I do it. And, I can tell you that 10 years ago, this wouldn't work. My girlfriend would leave,
Yeah.
But right now at this stage in my life, it works. It really does come down, for the younger bands, it comes down to utilizing those moments, it's making that decision with that 5 minutes that you have to update your promo materials or post something on Facebook or post something on Instagram or not. And the tendency is most people do not.
Yeah.
So it's a little, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you got to get those little moments in. And that's how I balance it. If I got 5 minutes, I use it. I don't waste it.
You said you've been booking gigs for the upcoming season. Where's your first 3 gigs going to be?
Our next gig actually is right by you. Smart Mouth's at 1175 on Saturday, January 30th. Then we're up in Watertown at DJ's February 13th. That's a Saturday. Then we're in Germantown at a place called Bub's on Saturday the 20th of February. And then we got a double header February 26th and 27th. Friday the 26th, we're in Oconomowoc at Vino, etc. And we are in Muskego on the 27th at AJ's. That's in, Muskego.
What's your website?
Actually, we don't have a website. We use Facebook, and it's at SmartMouthMKE. That's the handle. Yeah, at SmartMouthMKE.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being on the Wisconsin Music Podcast. Hopefully we get to a point where we can meet in person. I can go out and see you guys play.
Excellent. My pleasure.
Well, there is episode 16 with Jeff from Smart Mouth. I hope you guys learned a lot from Jeff. Definitely had a lot of great information in this episode. I would like to thank Nate Wyckoff of Frequency Farm Recording in Wisconsin for writing and recording the opening theme song for Wisconsin Music Podcast, and also getting me in contact with Dean Bundy, our voiceover intro guy. Also, Jacob at cwhiphop.com for syndicating the podcast every Monday at 4 p.m. at cwhiphop.com. And ZTF Studio, ztfstudio.com for sponsoring the Wisconsin Music Podcast. And ZTF Studio website has just been updated, so check that out. And here's Smash Mouth playing us out. Have a great week, everyone.